Anxiety comes when our expectations are false, when we do not know the laws of nature. A person who in any field wants to be successful must learn to adapt, must learn not to compromise. As Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, prepare yourself and do not keep your mind on the result, but keep your mind in the present, in the now, in the action that you are doing.
Are there any habits that you would suggest to the youth of today?
Invoke the blessings of your teacher, Lord. Whatever you have learned, whatever you have developed within yourself, don't do it for some applause. Do it out of gratitude that God has given me this talent. My teachers have taught me, and this is my offering to them. Where there are expectations, there will be disappointment. Many of our expectations actually are wishful thinking.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hariam Satyam.
We see generally that the youth of today suffers from a great deal of anxiety, which is prevalent nowadays. So, why is it so, and what deals to it?
Actually, it's not that only today. We all experienced it while we were young. I think even our parents and grandparents, it is a human faculty that we have, that when we start something or we think about the future, when we are unsure of something, that we have a certain amount of anxiety. And all anxiety is not bad. That anxiety which helps you to prepare, to be forewarned, those anxieties are not bad. Like examination is coming and you're anxious, you prepare yourself for that examination, then it's a good anxiety. But if you don't prepare yourself and just anxious that whether the paper will be easy or not, now these are all imaginary anxieties. And therefore, the sooner in life we understand the difference between positive anxiety and negative anxiety, we'll be able to handle them even much better.
So, what causes this anxiety? What is the root cause of this anxiety that we are talking
Generally,
about?
it is apprehension about the future, where when our expectations, when our desires are very strong and we fear not getting it, in fact, really speaking, fear of failure. So that is why anxiety comes in. However, it's important that we all work for success, don't we?
Yes.
So why don't we see how we can be successful rather than sitting and worrying about how everything's up or everything is going to fail. So anxiety comes when our expectations are false, when we do not know the laws of nature, we don't understand ourselves, we don't understand our own mind and why certain things or certain emotions rise in us. So we are not able to manage these. So anxieties will be there, but we must be able to manage these anxieties, and then we can use all these emotions positively for better outcomes.
In today's world, social media has a big part to play in our lives, and the whole world is starting to revolve around social media. But we see that in today's world, social media has become more important. The tangible has become more important than the intangible. So, how do we deal with the stress, the anxiety that social media is causing amongst the youth?
See, in every era, there is something that influences us. No?
Yeah.
Whether 50 years ago it was the movie industry. Then it was the television industry. Then also it is the news media. No? So we are influenced by whatever we hear. And therefore it's very important that what we put our faith in, what company we keep, and company not only of people, person in person, but what company of books we keep, what do we see on social media. So there is where we can use our discrimination. Now, when children are very young, it is important that parents guide them, demonstrate to them, teachers guide them, demonstrate to them. Otherwise, they are very easily influenced. And once you get into a habit of it, any addiction, then it's very difficult to give up. Therefore, we have to make a choice.
But for example, for someone who has lost a parent, for someone who has no one in their life as a father figure, as a mother figure, as a teacher figure, who does not have that person to guide them through this, through social media or any kind of addiction, what do these people do?
See, most of us will have somebody, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a foster parent, or somebody in our life. And even we know there are positive influencers, even on social media, that guide us, cautions are given to us. So we should use our own discrimination. There are, of course, people who may not have, at the right time, the right influence. So therefore, it's a responsibility of society to see that whether it is students in school, whether it is children at home or in the neighborhood, not to necessarily lecture them, but to demonstrate them, guide them, show them. And it's very important that from childhood, when we are given the right values, and one of the values which is very important, what we call as brahmacharya, which means living in moderation. In fact, every child was taught that, especially when we are a student trying to learn to keep moderation in our life. And even if we do things in moderation, to a great extent, a lot of things get regulated.
Yeah.
So these are some of the values, certain self-disciplines that we must create within ourselves. Now, as far as little children are concerned, it's the responsibility of parents, teachers, society to see what they are influenced by. But as we grow to be independent thinkers, youngsters, we must take responsibility of our life, and we should learn the art of right discrimination. And also keep ourselves well controlled to live a life of discipline. Now, when discipline is imposed on us, we don't like it. But we all know what is right and what is wrong. But we take to the path of pleasure rather than path we know as right. And then we land ourselves into self-deception. Now, teenagers do that quite often. But as we grow from life experiences, whether it's hurts, whether it is feeling cheated, whether it's feeling disappointed, we must learn from our experiences.
As a student of Hindustani classical music, in today's world, we see quite a decline of the art, the respect around the art, and everything that the values that it holds. So even as a classical musician, as a learning classical musician, as an aspiring performer, we feel very anxious if we will be making it or not as musicians. So, and we see so many examples of people who have tried their 100%, but they don't get that fame. They don't get the goal that they want to achieve. So, what should one do in this situation? How to not be anxious?
In any field, really speaking, at different periods of time, there is a surge of a need for it. Whether it was IT at a certain period of time, today it is AI, no, artificial intelligence. So there is surge of certain professions, etc. No? Even there's a demand for classical music in certain areas. Yeah. Same thing, every product has got some demand somewhere. Now, certain fields, majority of people can earn an income. Yeah? And of course, the earning an income alone should not be the goal. But if we are thinking about that, then certain fields, everybody can't attain or gain income. Like until a person becomes a movie star, yeah, in acting, there is not so much income. So then it's important that you take a source of or take to a profession where you can get your income and then develop your talents, your art, music in such a way that you can make an impact with that music. But when it becomes also the means of your income, so that you can give full time to it, and that also is a, a great thing that when someone can do what they love a lot, and that too also for something good, like classical music or even just music itself. So when we try to do something in that field and we want to give our full time, we also need a little bit of income or at least a certain amount of income. So it depends what we want to do with the music, etc. Now, for classical music, there's always been a niche market because it's not amongst the youngsters, it's not amongst the masses. Yet, as we know, there are great musicians who have adapted it at different periods of time to relate with the generation of that time. Even recently, by using classical music with, in some way, international instruments or modern instruments, people have been able to create a market for it. So, very important is don't expect that things will always be, a straightforward journey. A person who in any field wants to be successful must learn to adapt, must learn not to compromise, but at the same time, make it relevant for the people of that time. So that's a very important art that we have to develop. And unfortunately, these are not taught to us. Exactly. But this comes from your sense of dedication, devotion to your art, that you create, as you would say, a market for it. Create an interest in it. And there are people who have done it. Of course, if you go for rap, you go for, those kind of music, there's at the moment a ready-made market, which also over a period of time is going to decline. Something new is going to come. So you have to adapt with the times, maintain the classical, maintain the purity of it, but adapt it in such a way that it will be appealing to the people of that time. So work towards making it happen. Don't just sit back and think that life will just dish out to you everything on a golden platter. And this is for any field.
As as a student of music, once again, when we go on the stage, we suffer from anxiety before performance, anxiety during performance. Sometimes when someone is singing, at that particular moment of time, something else starts going on inside their mind. So, is being anxious just before the performance, as if, what am I going to sing? Is it going to appeal to the audience? Is that right entirely to have that anxiety?
See, you must be prepared and you must have confidence. And you must do your best. This anxiety is in every field of our life. I mean, think about it. Arjuna, or such a capable warrior, but facing a situation like he has never faced before. He has faced many battles, but a situation like this, naturally, immediately, when you see a challenging situation, When you're going out for the first time, you see a large audience, a lot of expectations are on you. Yeah. So all these things will create a certain amount of anxiety. But as Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, prepare yourself. And having prepared yourself, confidently go and do your best. Yeah? And do not keep your mind on the result, but keep your mind in the present, in the now, in the action that you are doing. And at that time, yeah, forgetting the future, forgetting the past, be in the present and perform to the best of your capacity. If your mind is on your performance rather than on whether you're going to get an applause or whether you'll be able to deliver properly, the moment you become anxious, naturally your performance will get affected. So put your mind to your performance. Bring your mind to the words or the tune that you are singing. Or as Swami Chinmaya says, bring your mind to where your hands are working.
So, are there any habits that you would suggest to the youth of today that they should cultivate in order to deal with all of this stress? Anything?
See, that if we have got a rich culture, good set of values, we have prepared ourselves, and at the same time, we have faith and devotion in our heart. We all face this, whether it's an examination or even when I have to speak in front of a large audience on such subtle subjects like Vedanta, right? Where people are already so skeptical about, and people have got so many doubts on how can we perform without feeling anxious. And really speaking, people love their anxiety. So, so when you're addressing, there's always a certain amount of apprehension. But you should overcome that and just walk onto the stage of life and perform. And for that, that's why we have said, always when we start, remember the Lord. Derive strength. Bala buddhi vidya dehu mohi. As we find in Hanuman Chalisa. No? Ask Bhagwan. No? Take the blessings of your teachers and you being a musician, no? Or a singer. Yeah. Invoke the blessings of your teacher. Invoke the blessings of Mother Saraswati. And then whatever you have learned, whatever you have developed within yourself, whatever talent you have, when you are doing that, don't do it for some applause. Don't do it for some prize or a trophy. Do it out of gratitude that God has given me this talent. My teachers have taught me, and this is my offering to them. So sing in that manner. And in the ending, whatever we get, whether it's a standing applause, or even sometimes someone points out to us where we could be better, sometimes even people criticize. Learn from that so that we can perform better.
As a youth, as a youngster, we generally witness that throughout our life in the young age, we see that we are disappointed with our own self. Anxiety is a different thing, but after we are not anxious for anything. We did our job, we did it correctly, but we see that the results that we expected, they're not like that. And I think that leads to dissatisfaction and disappointment. So, what is the root cause of this disappointment and how do we deal with it?
In your own words, where there are expectations, there will be disappointment. Now we'll say, how can we not expect?
Yeah.
But many of our expectations actually are wishful thinking. Obviously, you do an action, you will expect a certain result. But the result is not something that you can think that this is precisely being it. You may even give the best of performance. But if the audience is not interested in your classical music, as good as you would have sung, in fact, the better you would have sung, the more disappointed they would be because they're not there for that. And you did not gauge the situation and you performed to your best of capacity. So if you expect from the people to always appreciate you, then you will be disappointed. If you've sung well and you expect that a person who understands music will appreciate you, you're not going to be disappointed. Yeah? And if such a person corrects you also, you will not be disappointed because you will take it with the right spirit. And therefore, if your mind is on delivering with gratitude, no, with devotion, the best you can offer, you might even sometimes make a mistake. Right? A mistake should not cause disappointment. Only you should be more alert at some period of time. Sometimes we do things carelessly. Yeah? And those are the things which do cause regret, disappointment in us. Again, these kind of disappointment where we lack in our performance, when we have not delivered properly, when we could have done better, these are positive disappointments. Yeah? And we should use it for our benefit, correcting ourselves, rather than sitting and regretting, feeling guilty, feeling miserable. A certain amount of sorrow is experienced to give us an awakening call. Yeah? Certain amount of disappointment gives us an awakening call. It's what we do and how do we channelize those emotions for our betterment rather than sit there and feel disappointed. Therefore, at every stage, Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Uddhared Atmana Atmanam. So what if you have fallen? Lift yourself up again. And having lifted yourself up again, don't create the same mistake again. In case you do it, lift yourself up again. No? And try not to make the same mistakes again and again. And any intelligent person, any sincere person, having once corrected themselves, will not commit the same mistake again. So, take that spirit in life to say that there will never be disappointments. Yeah. Disappointments from our expectations of others will be there. And therefore, it's not wise to expect. But yes, I could have performed better. I could have done better. I prepared myself. I got anxious, or I became careless, or I was lazy. Yes, there will be certain amount of disappointment, and that is positive disappointment. Yeah? Rather than sitting and regretting, feeling guilty, see that we learn from that experience. And if we keep that positive attitude, we will overcome that disappointment. And that disappointment will actually lead us to greater success.
Have you ever faced this emotion? I mean, yes, being a human, you must have. But how have you coped up with that? And what did you face?
See, there's never a time, as I said, we were taught from childhood not to expect from people. So, as we are growing up, when you have done something for someone, even a friend, and you do not get help when you need it, there's a certain amount of disappointment. Not that all of us experience. But we were always taught when we were seen sad or disappointed that one should always do good and don't expect in return. Not even think that everybody will respond to you the way you want it, or will be able to respond to you. So if there is understanding, and I would say that, thank God, from childhood, I had a very, very knowledgeable, wise grandmother who gave us these wisdom through our epic stories, such as the Ramayana, Mahabharata. Those little words of wisdom that we saw in her life. So I cannot say that we would never got disappointed or sad, but it was very easy to overcome them with understanding and most of all with acceptance. Yeah? Then, of course, is when you don't perform to your best or you make a mistake. Yeah? There also, you're told, don't do something that you will later on regret. So try never to do that. Yet sometimes you, in your performance, you may have slacked. So that kind of disappointment is there. But as I mentioned before, that again, the positive attitude. And I must say, our parents were so understanding that even if you performed bad and you're feeling bad, they would say, better luck next time, better performance next time. So they never made us feel bad or guilty. Now, of course, I do meet a lot of people who's, who say that their parents made them feel very guilty, they were very upset with them, and now they are feeling very remorseful. But they're also with understanding of their expectations out of their well wishes or even their disappointments, right? Most important is that how we can overcome it. Put our mind on that. That we'll never feel disappointed, we can never say that. But how we overcome it is important. And therefore, our value systems, and most of all, faith, faith in God, faith in the laws of nature, faith in the goodness that you do, faith in yourself, and most important is do your best and accept the rest. And if there's acceptance, then there will be less disappointment.
Performing in front of the Guru, when the teacher is himself in front of us, and when we are made to do what he has taught in front of us, in front of a lot of people, that is a different thing. So for me, if my Guru is sitting in front of me and if I have to perform in front of her, that is a different thing. So at that moment, it's very unnatural. I'm unable to put it into words. Have you ever faced, has Swamiji ever faced this? And if yes,
of course.
how have you dealt with it?
Imagine Arjuna had to face his own Guru to fight with him. So can you imagine his anxiety? Yeah. Can you imagine what he was feeling? What would be the level of disappointment if he did not perform? And even if he performed, yeah, how could he perform in front of his Guru? No? Because we are afraid of being judged.
Yes.
No? And always remember, if the teacher examines us, it is not to judge us. It is to make us discover the level of our own performance. And of course, we also had to. I had to speak in front of Gurudev, the greatest teacher and orator. Yeah? I had to speak in front of our course Acharya, and I would be the first one to be brought there. No? And my only thing would be in my mind that I should not disappoint my teacher. Even though I know my teacher doesn't get disappointed, has patience, but I should not do anything that by which I disappoint my teacher, and therefore not even be over anxious that I will plunder or blunder in front of my teacher.
Yeah.
In fact, I would keep this attitude that my teacher has taught me so well. Yeah? I should perform so well, and I should have a confidence in his teaching or her teaching to me rather than in my performance alone. Yeah? And I always kept that in mind even today as I speak to you. Now, when I'm faced with questions, I only remember my Guru and always think that I should speak in such a manner that not only he would be proud of me, but I have the faith that whatever he has taught me, how he has taught me, how he has developed me, that I will deliver. Yeah? And what is important is that I perform to the best of my capacity. And that is all that what my teacher will expect of me. And if my teacher corrects me, it will not be out of disappointment. It will only be to make me better.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. Thank you so much.
Now, Satyam, you're a singer.
Yes.
And many such songs are there, to keep us inspired, which has all these lessons in it. Can you remember any such song that you can sing? Sing to us whenever you are fronted with some anxiety.
We were taught when we were very young, we were taught there's a rag called Yaman. So in that we had a bandish called Guru bin kaise gun gaave. It goes like this. Hmm. गुरु बिन कैसे गुण गावे, गुरु बिन कैसे गुण गावे, गुरु ना माने तो गुण नहीं आवे, गुणियन में वे गुणी कहावे, गुरु बिन कैसे गुण गावे, माने तो रिझावे सबको शरण गहे माँ सरस्वती के जब आवे अचपल ताल सुर, गुरु बिन कैसे गुण गावे. So it basically highlights the importance of my guru in my life. Without the guru, there is no gun.
That's why have faith in God, have faith in Guru, who has faith in you. Even Guru Nanak Sahib has said that sab gun tere mein nahi koi, vin gun kite bhagat na hoy. That without you giving me the virtues, I could not even become a devotee. And all virtues, what I have also, has been given by you. So I should have confidence in what he has given me rather than what I can do. Very beautiful.
Thank you so much, Swamiji.